in 1975. I don't know how old you were in 1975. But the sinners, listen, the sinners I've lived my life as an evangelist for 50 years and I've done no other job. The sinners I was dealing with in 1975, they had no computers. There were no cults in the secondary schools. The sinners I was dealing with in 1975 they were not on drugs. How much drug was in the society in 1975? The sinners, the Babalawos in Africa that I was dealing with, they didn't have iPad. Babalawos now go Google. The modern sinners are more complicated. The sinners you are dealing with are more complicated sinners. And unfortunately, the intensity of passion that is needed to drive ministry at them in order to be able to address their complexity is not even there, because the end-time evangelist is a pleasure seeker. He goes on holidays to Seychelles and ride on yachts. And some of you read the internet and see the general overseer and his family that are going on holidays inside the yacht. I've not had vacation for 50 years. My wife is here. The zeal of God's house consumes me. It's as if Jesus is coming the next day and coming to meet me inside the yacht. Please don't misunderstand me. I'm not asking you not to go on yacht if you to buy say hello says. But nobody will have the understanding of, behold, I come quickly. And that's the urgency of the unknown. I come quickly when we don't know. And you are going on yachts. People are dying every minute. I do not think we have the leisure and the pleasure that people are proposing to us and they're talking about. None of you should listen to such things. You can Google to know how much burden you carry. The population of Lagos in 1960 was 730 something thousand, less than 1 million. The population of Lagos now is 22 million. So whoever, listen very carefully. I preach with data and figures. I'm not a soothsayer. Whoever was an evangelist in 1960 had only 700,000 sinners to deal with. But in that same Lagos, in the same geographical space, you keep sending people in the same space where the population is growing, but the space is not. The people heading for an implosion because you keep packing people into the same geographical space. 22 million people are now staying in that place where only 700,000 people were staying in 1960. The population of Nigeria in 1960, when we took independence, was 45 million. Whoever was an evangelist in 1960 will be facing a national community of sinners that are only 45 million. The evangelists today in Nigeria is facing 200 million sinners. When you talk of evangelist to sinner ratio, the evangelist now is under a heavier yoke and burden of duty in terms of coverage, in terms of the kind of and when if we just talk of statistics or the figures and we leave it there, we're still not even being honest and wholesome enough with the facts. The 1960 sinner is a simpler sinner. The 1960 sinner is an ordinary sinner. The 1960 sinner, they are pickpockets. The 1960 sinners, they are garage motor park thieves. The 1960 sinners are babalawos. The sinner today is an internet sinner. It's a more complicated sinner. The sinner today is more difficult to catch. The fish today is wiser than the fisherman. Plus the fact that the fisherman today is less desperate. The fisherman today is told that he's supposed to wear the best shoe, he's supposed to wear the best dress, he's supposed to eat the best food, he's supposed to ride the best car. The emphasis and the perversion of the ministry today and the total absence of passion and intensity, the total absence of burden. There are no burden bearers. People who are propelled by burden, people who are weeping, people who are seeing sinners and asking where are they going. That is what makes me respect this audience. That this audience have come away from the general illusion and the kind of self-deception that we have done to ourselves in church. We told ourselves lies. I've come to the reality. I'm face to face with the challenge of having to deal with addiction. The challenge of having to deal with prostitution. The challenge of having to deal with certain social vices that have overrun us. When we believed in 1975 and we were evangelists, we were not having to deal with a man waking up one day and saying that he's not happy being a man, he wants to be a woman. We are not having to deal with certain perversions and certain deranged thoughts and thinkings that also even have a legal backing. It's very difficult to raise an innocent church when the society within which the church lives is against it. But you are living in a generation where you have to drive the tradition of the Bible. You have to stick to the tradition of the Bible and refuse to be amended. And that is not an easy task to do. That the generation of sinners you are facing and their sins are also protected by law. That is the difference between the generation of sinners you are facing and the one I once faced. Most states in America today legalize marijuana. The same substance that if you took it 50 years ago, you go to prison. If you took marijuana 50 years ago in those same places, you go to jail. But the same government that sent people to jail 50 years ago, they are now also the one that are saying it's okay. You see, when a people's transgression overwhelms them, they legalize their iniquity. That the church in Shiloh had gone wayward. And Hophni and Phinehas were there to manage the house of God. And there came Samuel, who was to make a difference. And Samuel, to make a difference as an underdog, a small boy coming from a foreign place, as against those landlords that are there, is tough. But his mother had told him, that place you are going, don't be like them. You are a product of prayer. You are a product of intercession. You are a product of tears. I wept. You are different. You are not the same. To go to Shiloh as an underdog and be at the risk of the bullies and the big boys in the boarding house there. If Samuel not to run the risk of being sent, call that girl, bring her here. And to retain innocence under those circumstances, that's the pressure under which you live. And survive there. And not only surviving there, but becoming the kingmaker in the end. The whole of heaven is looking towards you. And God is in a hurry to wipe out certain fellows and bring you on board. You may be the last prophet the world will see. Our Lord had seen you coming, and I pronounce a blessing for you in Matthew chapter 5, verse 6. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. The Lord had seen you coming and had deposited a blessing to wait for you. Welcome home. As an elder, I stand in the place where you are going is where I live. I am able to say, come, keep coming. We're waiting for you. We're looking for somebody to hand over to. Keep coming. You're the one we are waiting for. Same way the whole of Israel under Saul waited for 40 days under Goliath until David came. And the entire Israel and Jewry, when David came, was as if to say, David, welcome. You are the one we've been waiting for. We've been embarrassed. That one uncircumcised Philistines have embarrassed all of us who are circumcised. And we have no answer. I apologize for my colleagues. I apologize for the elderly ones. We've missed it. We've tried our best. But our time is over. I told you I've been preaching for 50 years. The more I try to talk about righteousness, the more the place is spoiled. I myself overwhelmed. Because those who are spoiled